welcome back to the channel. Babysitting, a humble job, full of innocence, bedtime snacks, and bedtime stories. But today's tale is not one for children, no, dear viewer. This is a story for those brave enough to peer behind the curtains, past the smiling faces and cozy porches, and into the shadows that wait in the quiet corners of the night. Our heroine, Sophie, a bright, cheerful college student, thought she was in for just another routine evening with two sweet children and a house full of light. But the Wilkinses' home had other plans. You see, this house has a history, and some things don't stay buried. As the lights begin to flicker and an eerie growl echoes through the walls, Sophie comes face to face with a darkness that doesn't just haunt, it hungers. So gather close, my ghouls and night fiends, for today we unlock a tale that flickers like a dying bulb, creaks like an old stairwell, and breathes like something still alive. This is The Babysitter's Night of Terror. And remember, if you hear footsteps when no one else is home, don't go upstairs. Whatever's waiting at the top may already know your name.
I was more than just the college student who babysat on weekends, I was the cool babysitter. At least, that's how I like to think of myself. Tonight, however, felt different. The autumn air was crisp as I approached the Wilkinses' charming two-story house, a home warmed by the inviting glow of porch lights. As I stepped onto the creaking wooden porch, I could hear the faint sounds of laughter coming from inside, a comforting background hum that helped me let go of my worries. Mr. and Mrs. Wilkins had gone to a neighborhood dinner party, leaving me in charge of their two children, Billy, age 8, and his little sister, Lily, age 6. The familiar scent of pumpkin spice wafted from the kitchen, and the kids greeted me with squeals of joy. I responded with my usual flair, over-the-top excitement and funny little dances. They loved it, and I loved making them giggle. The evening started innocently enough. We ate pizza, watched a children's movie, Billy insisted, and I even managed to get them to brush their teeth without too much of a struggle. As I tucked Lily into her princess-themed bed, she whispered, "Thank you, Sophie," her voice almost too quiet to hear. Billy, already tucked in and surrounded by stuffed animals, just mumbled a sleepy goodnight. I headed downstairs, a sense of relief washing over me. Only a few more hours to go. I settled on the living room couch with a book, the silence of the house pressing in on me. That's when I heard it. A creak. Not the settling kind of creak that old houses make. This was a deliberate creak, a footstep on the stairs. I held my breath, listening. Nothing. Probably just the house, I muttered to myself, trying to focus on my book. The words blurred before my eyes. Another creak. Closer this time. Definitely on the stairs. My heart hammered against my ribs. I stood up, grabbing the heavy fireplace poker from beside the hearth. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling slightly. Silence. I crept to the foot of the stairs, peering into the darkness. "Billy? Lily? Is that you?" No response. I climbed the stairs slowly, the poker held high. Each step seemed to amplify the silence, making the house feel vast and empty. The hallway upstairs was shrouded in deeper darkness, the shadows clinging to the walls like grasping hands. I checked Billy's room first. He was sound asleep, his chest rising and falling rhythmically. Lily's room was the same. She was curled up under her blankets, her thumb tucked into her mouth. Relief washed over me, so intense it made me weak. I really was just imagining things. Old houses, spooky stories, too much caffeine. I went back downstairs, chastising myself for being so jumpy. I locked all the doors and windows, double-checking each one. Surely, nothing could happen now. The feeling of unease didn't dissipate. It lingered, a cold spot in the middle of my chest. I tried to read, but the words danced on the page. Every creak, every rustle of leaves outside the window, sent a jolt of adrenaline through me. Then the lights started flickering. At first, it was subtle, a barely perceptible dimming. I chalked it up to old wiring. But then it became more pronounced, the lights blinking on and off rapidly, casting erratic shadows that danced across the walls. Okay, this isn't funny, I said aloud, my voice tight with fear. Billy? Lily? If you're doing this, stop it right now. The flickering continued, mocking my fear. I tried to find the breaker box, but it was hidden away in the basement, a dark and damp place I had no intention of exploring. Suddenly, the television switched on, blaring static at full volume. I jumped, nearly dropping the book I was still clutching. I fumbled for the remote, frantically pressing the power button. Nothing. The screen remained a blinding white noise. I ran to the television and yanked the plug from the wall. Silence descended, heavy and absolute. I stood there, panting, trying to regain control. This was beyond a prank. Something was definitely wrong. Then I saw it. A shadow. Not just a shadow, but a distinct, human-shaped silhouette moving across the wall in the hallway. It was tall and gaunt, its limbs elongated and distorted. It moved with an unnatural grace, gliding rather than walking. I froze, my blood turning to ice. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that this was not my imagination. This was something real. Something else. The shadow paused at the foot of the stairs, its form wavering as if struggling to maintain its shape. Then, slowly, deliberately, it turned its head toward me. I couldn't see a face, only a dark void where its features should have been. But I felt its gaze, cold and malevolent, piercing through me. A low, guttural growl echoed through the house, vibrating in my chest. It was a sound of pure, unadulterated evil. The growl stopped, and the shadow began to ascend the stairs. Slowly. Methodically. Panic seized me. I had to get out. I had to get the kids out. I raced up the stairs, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. I threw open Billy's door. He was still asleep, oblivious to the terror that was unfolding around him. Billy! Wake up! We have to go! I shouted, shaking him gently. He stirred, his eyes fluttering open. Sophie? What's wrong? No time to explain. Just get up. I grabbed Lily from her bed, scooping her into my arms. She whimpered, clinging to me tightly. What's happening? She whispered, her voice trembling. It's okay, I lied, trying to sound reassuring. We're just going for a little walk. I carried Lily down the stairs, Billy stumbling behind me. The shadow was gone, but the air was thick with a sense of dread. As we reached the bottom of the stairs, a disembodied voice echoed through the house. It was raspy and distorted, like nails scraping on a chalkboard. You can't escape, it hissed. This house belongs to me. Lily screamed, burying her face in my shoulder. Billy clung to my leg, his eyes wide with terror. I had to get them out, now. I fumbled with the locks on the front door, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the knob. Finally, the door swung open, revealing the darkness outside. We ran. We ran as fast as we could, away from the house, away from the darkness, away from the voice. As we reached the edge of the yard, I glanced back. The house stood silhouetted against the night sky, its windows glowing with an eerie light. And in one of the windows, I saw it. The shadow. Standing motionless. Watching us. I pulled the children closer and ran even faster, not stopping until we reached the safety of the neighbor's house. I pounded on the door, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Mrs. Davison, a kindly old woman with a warm smile, answered the door. Sophie? What's wrong? What happened? She asked, her eyes filled with concern. I could barely speak. The house, the Wilkinses' house, something's in there. Mrs. Davison ushered us inside, wrapping us in blankets and calling the police. I told them everything, my voice trembling with fear. They listened politely, but I could see the skepticism in their eyes. They searched the house, of course. They found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no evidence of any disturbance. Just an old house with creaky floors and flickering lights. The Wilkinses returned home later that night, bewildered by the commotion. I tried to explain what had happened, but they just looked at me strangely. Sophie, are you sure you're feeling all right? Mrs. Wilkins asked, patting my arm. Maybe you just had a bad dream. I knew they didn't believe me. No one did. I never babysat at the Wilkinses' house again. In fact, I stopped babysitting altogether. The memory of that night haunted me, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks just beneath the surface of the everyday world. I tried to rationalize what had happened. Maybe it was just my imagination, fueled by teenage hormones and too many horror movies. Maybe the old house had a gas leak, causing hallucinations. Maybe. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had seen something real. Something evil. I spent hours researching the history of the Wilkinses' house. I learned that it had been built on the site of an old cemetery, a place where unspeakable tragedies had occurred. There were rumors of hauntings, of strange occurrences, of unexplained deaths. I learned that the original owner of the house had been a troubled man, driven to madness by grief and despair. He had ended his life within the house, leaving behind a lingering presence of anguish and anger. Was it his shadow I had seen? His voice I had heard? I don't know. And I don't think I ever will. What I do know is that the world is full of things we don't understand. Things that defy explanation. Things that can scare us to our very core. The experience changed me. I became more cautious, more aware of my surroundings. I learned to trust my instincts, even when they seemed irrational. And I learned that sometimes, the things we fear the most are the things we can't see. The unseen world is always there, lurking just beyond the edge of our perception, waiting for an opportunity to reveal itself. The night at the Wilkinses' house taught me that fear is a powerful force. It can paralyze us, consume us, and drive us to the brink of madness. But it can also make us stronger, more resilient, and more appreciative of the fragile beauty of life. I still think about Billy and Lily sometimes. I wonder if they remember that night, if they remember the shadow, the voice, the fear. I hope not. I hope they've forgotten it all and moved on with their lives. But I never will. The Babysitter's Night of Terror is a memory that will forever be etched in my mind, a reminder that the darkness is always there, waiting to be unleashed. And that sometimes, the only thing that stands between us and the abyss is a locked door and a flickering light. And sometimes, that's not enough.
And there, dear viewers, ends our chilling account, or perhaps, merely a pause in a tale that never truly finishes. Sophie, bright-eyed, full of life, armed only with bedtime routines and a fireplace poker, faced something no training manual or college lecture could have ever prepared her for. She stepped into a home wrapped in warmth and familiarity, and left it forever changed, her soul touched by something cold, something ancient. The Wilkinses would return to their lives. The children, if they remember anything at all, might one day dismiss it as fragments of a bad dream. But Sophie? She carries it with her still. In the quiet hours of the night, in the flicker of faulty lights, in the hush that falls just before sleep, she remembers. Authorities found no signs of intrusion. No footprints. No shadows on the walls. Just an old house sitting silently at the end of a peaceful street. But we, the keepers of dark truths, know better. We know there are places in this world where the veil between the living and the other wears thin. Where grief, rage, and restless sorrow soak into walls and floorboards like blood into earth. Some houses are not haunted by ghosts, but by moments trapped in time, looping endlessly like a broken lullaby. Perhaps what Sophie saw was the echo of a man consumed by despair. Or perhaps it was something older. Something nameless. Something that does not die, because it was never truly born. And now, dear listener, as you sit in your own home, lights low, shadows deep, ask yourself this. Have you ever heard a creak in the hall, when no one else was home? Have you ever felt the gaze of something, unseen? Because once you've stared into that kind of darkness, you understand. The true horror is not in the scream, but in the silence that follows. Thank you for joining us for today's tale. If you made it this far with the lights still off, well done. But do be careful on your way to bed. Check your locks. Close the closet. And whatever you do, don't look back. Because the house at the end of the street is still there. And the shadow in the window? It remembers you. Sweet dreams and sleep well, if you dare. We'll be waiting with the next story. Right after the lights go out. Hey, horror fans. If you enjoyed our chilling tale and want to keep the spine-tingling stories coming, don't forget to hit that like button. Your support keeps the darkness alive. Share this video with your friends, let's spread the fear together. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you never miss a hair-raising moment. Join our community of thrill seekers and prepare for more eerie adventures. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay scared.